Hey guys, I'm back with another video, and I made this piece a while ago, and I actually made this piece just for the sake of this video. I had to get a message out that I had been getting a lot, and that was using a reference photo and copying an actual picture, and a lot of the times people who are not actual artists, or even people who are artists, confuse the two terms. I actually used to do that myself too, but now that I know a little bit more, I know that those two are two very different things. As you can see, I'm using a reference picture here. So when I would say I'm using a reference picture, I would say I'm not copying it completely. I might be taking the colors from it. I might be using the pose and all, or just anything, as in the pose, the scene, the colors, the hues, anything that's what a reference is basically. But when we would say that I had copied something, or that it's a study, that would be if I were to completely replicate the picture that I would be using. So I have done that before. Before I was doing digital art, I was doing a lot of photo studies. I used to get printouts and I used to sketch them. I was really into that before I got into painting. But for me, I don't think copying pictures is very soothing for me. I usually like to just go on with whatever I feel right. Usually I like working with a reference instead of without, because I'm still learning, obviously, and it just gives you a nice idea of where the light would hit, and that's how you get better at everything. You use reference for a couple of months or a couple of years, and then after that you've built that memory in your head, that you can finally go out and create something of your own out of your imagination, because you have that stored information of how anatomy, lighting, and all that stuff works. So you don't need a reference anymore. Your memory is all that you need to create a masterpiece. So in this piece that I'm working on, I used a reference. As you can see, it's not exactly the same. I didn't try to completely replicate the expression that she was portraying. I actually like a very despaired look in my art. I usually like to make my art look very emotional, I'd say, like very sentimental. I don't know how to put it. So yeah, and in the reference picture, she looked a little like, I don't know how to put it. Like, I didn't completely copy the expression that she was portraying in the actual reference picture, and I didn't completely copy a lot of the other things, say the design on her scarf, or I changed little things as in the colors, the proportions, obviously the proportions, and a little more things that I felt would be fitting for my style. I made the nose a little smaller, a little straighter. I made the nostrils a little different. I made, obviously, the eyes, they're like a staple to my style, so I made those really big. So, and yeah, basically I did a lot of things different. And if you don't even do a lot of things different, if you change some things different and it's distinguishable, you can tell between the actual picture and the artwork. Given if your style is semi-realistic, like I have a semi-realistic style. So if you have a semi-realistic style and still you can tell the picture from the artwork, I think that's what a reference picture is. But if you can't, like if you, okay, so copying an artwork would mean you're not going to put it in your style, you're going to copy it. Copying artwork is done to learn anatomy, positioning, dynamic poses, and all that jazz. So when I would be copying an artwork, I wouldn't put my style into it. I would, for example, for me, I'd make the eyes proportionate as they would be in real life. I would make the nose proportionate, the lips. I would try to go for photorealism. But if I would be using a reference, however, I would be much more putting my style into the artwork, so it's distinguishable. So when people look at it, they can tell that it's my artwork and it's not just a picture study, or it's not just an academic work, or just not a practice or a copy. I mean, there's nothing wrong with copying pictures as long as you credit the artist. I found this reference from Pinterest. I couldn't find the name of the artist. If you work from Pinterest, you would know finding the name of the artist over there is not the easiest job. So I was, and I didn't want to credit the wrong person, so I just said that the reference is from Pinterest. So yeah, I'm not saying that copying artwork is wrong. It's very helpful. It has proved very helpful for me in the past when I was learning like the basic things, as in like the anatomy of the face, the neck, the back. I actually have a few paintings hung in my room even that are like copies because I like them so much. And the thing with that is, as long as you don't copy an artwork, there's nothing wrong with copying a photograph. And I'm not saying that photography is not a form of art. It is a form of art, but they're different mediums. If I am copying a ballerina's pose, her form of art is different from mine. My form of art is painting, and her form of art is dance. So it is like that barrier of mediums, not as in the painting mediums. If there's the barrier of what kind of art you're doing, I don't think there's wrong with copying, because if you're copying a photograph with the sole purpose that you would not present it as your own, you would credit the artist if you can, and your purpose is to learn a lot of things from there, then I don't think there's anything wrong with it. A lot of people don't think there's anything wrong with it because it doesn't seem wrong, first of all, and the other thing is your intent is good, and if your intent is good, I don't think it would matter that much. But if you could ask the actual artist for the permission, if you could use, as if some of my friends that I talk to online, they're quite nice, they have a nice feed, so if I would want to draw them, I would ask their permission first, like, hey, I want to draw this picture, can I do it? And if they say yes, then I can draw it. If they say no, I am not allowed to draw it. It goes against any laws of ethics to draw someone without their permission, which is another thing. Like, if you draw someone for free, I mean, it's okay, but I would suggest against it. I've gotten a few requests to draw people for free or for exposure. Those are scams. Because, okay, I was listening to Emily Artful the other day. She's a great YouTuber, and she's one of my greatest inspiration when I work with watercolors. And what she said was, you won't go to a mechanic and say that it's just an oil change, I don't have to pay for it. You would obviously pay them. So art is also work. That's why it's called artwork, because there is mechanical energy that goes into it. There's effort, there's thought, there's materials, there's